Today on Investigate TV Plus, Gold Star families endure the pain of losing their loved one in the line of duty. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich, but when they try to rebuild their lives, a federal law forces them to make a difficult choice.
Plus, a mind-altering drug goes mainstream.
When I left, I almost skipped out of the clinic. Energy was at like 95%.
How a veteran struggling with his mental health found comfort in an unconventional therapy.
Then his life changed forever while fighting in Afghanistan. Sergeant First Class Ryan Davis lost limbs in that battle, but this hero didn't lose his fighting spirit.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
It's a little-known federal law that impacts tens of thousands of military families across the country, specifically the spouses our fallen heroes leave behind.
In the post-9/11 era, one national nonprofit says those widows, on average, are only in their mid-20s or early 30s. But if they remarry before age 55, certain survivor benefits are cut off.
Reporter Heather Graff tracks a new push to change what some consider an unfulfilled promise.
They were coming back from a mission. He was riding an ATV. He hit a pressure plate improvised explosive device. The doctors told us that he had opened up his eyes really big and he said, "Wife, kids, I love." And then went into cardiac arrest.
It was spring of 2013 when U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Michael Simpson was killed in Afghanistan.
I mean, how could I have been 35 with a 3 and a 1-year-old and my husband was gone?
And as Krista mourned her husband in the immediate aftermath of his death, she recalls feeling both sorrow and stress.
I'm a stay-at-home mom. How am I going to care for my children? How am I going to keep this roof over their heads? And I got very nervous.
That's why the benefit she'd soon receive as a surviving military spouse would prove to be crucial.
Those benefits allowed me to stay home with my children. I could allow our family to just take one step at a time.
So Krista and her sons did exactly that for several years.
So Mike and Gus were teammates. I didn't know him when they deployed.
Until a friendship with Army Master Sergeant Gus Anderson became something more.
I started to realize how well he cared for me and the boys. But it was when I declared that Gus and I were going to get married that many people came to me and said, "I don't know if you should do this. You're going to lose your benefits, everything."
So the current law means that a surviving spouse who remarries before the age of 55 loses all of their benefits. They lose their money from the VA, DOD, health insurance, education benefits, access to VA home loans, right to be buried with their late spouse, all of it.
Ashlyn Haycock-Lohman is the Deputy Director for Government and Legislative Affairs at the national military nonprofit known as TAPS, or the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, and she's been calling attention to this issue among lawmakers on Capitol Hill, telling them TAPS estimates there are about 65,000 surviving spouses under the age of 55 who currently receive benefits, and less than 5% of surviving spouses in that age range have remarried.
Most surviving spouses are not in the financial situation to be able to give up those benefits.
Then, in April of 2023, Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican Senator Jerry Moran co-introduced bipartisan legislation they're calling the Love Lives On Act. It would allow spouses of deceased service members to retain survivor benefits if they remarry, no matter their age.
It would be the action behind their words that we will never forget, and we will always be here for you. We will always take care of you.
Yet not soon enough for Krista.
So we had on the altar, we had a picture of Mike with a candle.
As she and Gus ultimately chose to go through with I Do.
There was a lot of financial consequences to our marriage.
Losing her survivor benefits, but adding to her family.
It's interesting being in the cemetery and watching your husband also grieve over your late husband.
And hoping to send a message that love really does live on.
I live this life, and I am determined to show my children what a beautiful life it can be, because that's what Mike died for.
We also reached out to the Department of Veterans Affairs. They referred us to a lengthy statement that they gave to the Senate's Committee on Veterans Affairs, where they suggested a few tweaks to the Love Lives On Act language. In part, they wrote the VA supports removing the remarriage restriction requirements for surviving spouses. The VA did note that support is subject to the availability of appropriations. In other words, they need funding.
That's a concern we took to lawmakers on Capitol Hill. We spoke to the two senators behind this bill about why they feel surviving military spouses deserve a change and what it will take to make it happen.
A Kansan came to me whose husband was killed in Afghanistan. She was only 34 years old and had 3 kids. And she later found the love of her life, and they want to make that relationship more permanent. And yet, if she made that choice, the surviving benefits that her husband earned with his life disappear.
Do you recall when you became aware of that law, and were you surprised by it?
Yeah, I was very much surprised to hear that that was the case. And it's the reason why, as a senator, I spend time in the state, moving around, talking to the people I represent. You know, when I heard about it, it's just common sense to fix this.
We have good support. I think this is a piece of legislation that can pass. The question is how quickly we can get it done.
Reporter Heather Graff joins us now. Heather, what is the status of the Love Lives On bill?
Senator Moran was able to get one element of the bill included in this year's National Defense Authorization Act, and that will essentially ensure surviving spouses can maintain access to commissaries and exchanges on military bases, even if they remarry before the age of 55. But in terms of full passage of the legislation and other benefits it aims to protect, there's a lot more that still needs to happen.
And Heather, that has surviving spouses planning another trip to Capitol Hill, right?
Well, that's right, Lee. We've already seen dozens of widows spend time meeting with lawmakers about the Love Lives On Act, and we're told a group of surviving spouses will be back in Washington this September to continue those efforts.
Still to come, a grenade fight in Afghanistan left a soldier with an uncertain future.
I was terrified to see him after I had kind of woken up.
What happened next inspired this wounded warrior to find the joy in life. But first, another veteran struggling with the pain of PTSD sought an alternative way to heal his mind.
I had seen a website about ketamine that was saying it was just, some people called it the miracle cure.
We explored the benefits and risk of psychedelics for mental health and how it's been life-changing for some.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, makes people feel stressed or frightened even after the danger is over. It's been described as not the person refusing to let go of the past, but the past refusing to let go of the person. For some war veterans, PTSD can mean reliving the horrors of the battlefield day after day.
The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs found nearly 1 in 3 veterans from wars in Iraq and Afghanistan will develop PTSD at some point in their lives. Reporter Lauren Taylor goes in depth with a veteran who says he lived through the intense pain of war until ketamine treatments saved his life. And we want to warn you, this story does mention suicide.
Patrick Dyer is a Navy veteran. Nearly 10 years of service, he calls a whirlwind of duty.
Did 8 years in the Navy, 3 tours in Iraqi territorial waters, and 1 tour in Afghanistan.
And during his last tour in Afghanistan,
we took casualties. We lost a bomb tech. I have a couple friends that have lost limbs.
In 2012, Patrick left the Navy. He came home and became a police officer in Logan, Iowa.
You started off as a police officer, you're working the night shift, so trying to sleep during the day, just kind of getting used to 4 or 5 hours of sleep.
The high-tempo lifestyle started to wear on him, and he could feel it.
We had a homicide by vehicle that I worked. We found a woman's dead body on the side of the road, and I just started recognizing, I could describe it as like my cage is just being rattled. My, anxiety would be really high and I couldn't calm myself down.
High anxiety by day, terrors by night. Patrick turned to alcohol to cope and even considered giving up.
Started having really intrusive thoughts. My duty gun was started to talk to me and say, I just have these thoughts like, oh, just pick me up and put me against your head just to see how it feels like.
Patrick knew he needed help. He tried numerous medications and nothing worked. Then one day, he found hope.
I started doing my own research into alternate treatments and had seen a website about ketamine that was saying it was just, some people called it the miracle cure.
Ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic with an array of uses depending on the dosage. It's now an FDA-approved hallucinogen being used to heal the mind. Dr. Samuel Snow is an ER doctor helping patients like Patrick at the Soma Clinic in South Omaha. Dr. Snow explains it's unclear how the ketamine works. However, studies show
people with treatment-resistant depression, with suicidal ideation, so thoughts of suicide, thoughts of self-harm, and to a lesser extent, anxiety, PTSD, are all potential beneficiaries of using ketamine in that smaller dose to help with those symptoms.
For Patrick, the journey began in 2020 with 6 simple IV doses of ketamine.
And I describe it as I went in the first time and my battery was at 5%. And when I left, I almost skipped out of the clinic. My energy was at like 95%.
Now he's not only living life, he's even optimistic with his family by his side.
To take away that worry from them, I feel proud that I can do that. They don't have to worry about me.
If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. Help is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Still to come, he survived the battlefield thanks to the courage of his fellow soldiers.
I thought it was really cool, seeing my buddies do some really amazing things.
However, it was his faith and family who helped him thrive.
You build yourself strong in character so that when these things come up, you can still be happy.
But first, what you could gain and lose by going alcohol-free.
Health fads come and go, but in the last several years, it seems trends involving alcohol, or rather a lack of it, are gaining traction.
Research from Nielsen found non-alcoholic beer, wine, and spirits spiked 31% in 2023, amounting to roughly $510 million in sales. We take a look at the benefits and cost of a sober lifestyle.
The amount of products that we have has grown by about 1,000% since we've opened.
Corey Atkinson's Bottle Shop in Atlanta is one of just a growing list of shops catering to those who choose not to drink alcohol.
It's not like just people in recovery or just pregnant women or people that are really just don't want to drink. It's a lot of people that are exploring with, taking a night off.
And new stats show the interest in the sober curious movement is overflowing. According to market analysis by the International Wines and Spirits Record, global sales of no-alcohol beer and wine is growing 3 times as fast as traditional alcoholic drinks.
More and more people are reconsidering their relationship with alcohol.
In Charlotte, North Carolina, a social club is encouraging friends to let friends call it quits.
Finding support helps with accountability.
Counterculture Club's founder, Molly Ruger, has been alcohol-free for several years. The Counterculture Club provides support for its members and has started hosting events to introduce people to an alcohol-free lifestyle.
You can cut alcohol out from your life or take a break from it, and you don't have to take on a label to do that. So it's becoming more of an exploratory opportunity.
An opportunity Dr. Jamil Nimi with the St. Louis University School of Medicine says helps to lay the groundwork to a healthier lifestyle.
In the short term, not having alcohol intake can improve your energy levels, and it can improve your mood, Also, it gives people a sense of achievement.
And that's a good thing, since doctors say alcohol can increase your risk of certain cancers, heart disease, interrupt sleep cycles, and increase stress levels. Dr. Nemi also says it's important to seek professional help if you start seeing certain signs.
If you are drinking more than the recommended limit, which would be the 7 or 14 drinks a week, or if you are having more than 5 drinks at a time, or if you are drinking two drinks consistently a day. Also, if you are feeling like you need to wake up and have a drink to get your day going, those are probably signs.
The Sober Curious movement shows no signs of slowing. A 2024 survey by NC Solutions found that 41% of American adults plan to drink less this year. This is particularly true for younger adults. 49% of millennials and 61% of Gen Z respondents said they'll pass on adult beverages, citing mental health as the top reason.
Up next, a wounded warrior living his life to the fullest thanks to the love of his family and inspiring others to do the same.
Yeah, guys, I don't know how many limbs you gotta lose to get rid of date night, but it's not 3, so good luck.
Sergeant First Class Ryan Davis served in the Army for 7 years before his life was changed forever in August of 2019 during an attack in Afghanistan.
Ryan nearly lost his life, but despite the challenges he faced, he did not lose his fight. Reporter Sam Bowman shares Ryan's inspiring message.
For Sergeant First Class Ryan Davis, this was the dream.
I think I was born with a little bit of gratitude for my country and the men that had served coming before me. The lifestyle in general of a warrior has always been kind of a calling of mine.
But when he first went to join the Army back in 2012, it seemed more like a nightmare to his wife, Asia.
I was not on board. I said no. And I sent him a video of like this little girl crying because her dad was gone.
But after some reflection,
The next day I went up to him, I was like, you need to join. You need to do it.
And just like that, Ryan's military career began.
Then when I got in, I started to really chase being the guy and being in the fight.
Ryan became an Army Ranger, and 7 years later, he found himself deployed in Afghanistan, where his life would be changed forever.
We were doing pretty routine things. One 1st Ranger Battalion night out there getting bad guys. Something kind of happened in the midst of a grenade fight, and I was left without both legs and an arm.
Asia's fear come to life.
It was rough. It wasn't a good phone call at all. It was literally just a shock. You don't expect that. You know, a lot of times when he does leave, you expect more of a knock on the door than you do a phone call saying that you can't talk to your husband and you don't know if he's going to make it. So it wasn't anything that was enjoyable. It was hard.
While Ryan fought for his life, rather than block out the memory of the incident, he found strength from it.
I remember all of it. I think that's one reason it doesn't really haunt me. I thought it was really cool. You know, seeing my buddies do some really amazing things, seeing younger soldiers that I had the opportunity to kind of raise, really standing up to the plate and doing awesome stuff to make sure I could come home.
Although he didn't fear the memory of that night, he did fear how his son, only 6 years old at the time, might react.
I was terrified to see him after I had kind of woken up and like, hey, I don't have legs and I'm missing an arm here. And I was worried Knox was gonna come in and be like, oh my God, like what is going on here? And he comes to the room, he's like, Dad, you don't have any legs. That's awesome! And me and Asia and Knox kind of laughed about it. And I think I was secretly crying, but it was like a joyful cry. So it was he kind of like sparked the resiliency that our family really needed at the moment.
A resilience sparked by his son, but held together by his wife.
Where do you think you would be without her in your life?
Well, now that's something scary to think about right there. That's something I might lock away. Without Asia, there would have been just so much tumultuous unknown that I'd had to work through by myself. She's been tough this whole time, and you need tough if you're going to go through something like this.
There you go.
So now 3 years later, life may look a little different than it did before. But Ryan and Asia weren't letting what happened define who they are.
Life isn't easy as it is, you know, like being limbs and all, life isn't easy. So to see him succeed and to just be happy and to be outgoing and loving and still wanting to do things. I've always said, like, we're not going to stop living just because this happened, and he hasn't. And it may be hard to get down here in this wheelchair, but he still goes out.
Yeah.
We still go to dinner. We went to Turks and Caicos. We're going to still travel. We're going to still do things.
Guys, I don't know how many limbs you got to lose to get rid of date night, but it's not 3. So good luck. Good luck figuring out how to get out of date night.
And perhaps their laughter, their clear zest for life itself, is proof enough that their joy isn't based in what happened to them, but rather it's something that they choose to find for themselves every single day.
The Gary Sinise Foundation was also inspired by Ryan.
Whoa, looky here. This place.
This is great, Tisha. Look at this house. The foundation built Ryan and his family. It's an accessible smart house just outside of Savannah, and they moved in during the fall of 2023.
Yeah, and the home was designed with Ryan in mind, including extra wide hallways, a specialized kitchen, and a bathroom that's perfect for him, and it's all mortgage-free. Whenever I see these reveals of homes for veterans, it just warms my heart every time for them to get back to the life that they remember.
And they can live that life and provide for their family and do everything in that accessible house. Very nice.
Well, that's going to do it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, a street crimes unit at the center of a federal investigation.
He was taken to a place that he called a garage.
Our months-long investigation takes a deep dive into the Brave Cave and uncovers allegations of misconduct and abuse at the hands of police officers.